If you're an agency or a consultant and you're looking to grow and scale online, more likely than not, you need to do less than you need to do more. And with our Academy clients here at AltAgency, we recently just started a book club inside of our program where we're picking one book every single month, and I'm putting together comprehensive notes, and we're having a roundtable discussion around the takeaways as to how those takeaways can apply to our business. And the first book that we did was 10X is Easier Than 2X, written by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. And this book is phenomenal, one of my favorite books, and it went over really, really well with our clients. And I wanted to share my biggest takeaways from this book that I kind of shared with our clients. Now, the takeaways are in this frame, in this context for this video, are if you're an agency owner, a consultant, or a freelancer, and you're looking to grow your business, how can we start to apply this 10X is easier than 2X principle to think about our business in a new way so that we can achieve the goals that we want, the profit, the schedule, and all of those things. This is going to be kind of I'll say an exhaustive list, but we're going to kind of talk through a handful of them. So the first thing is a lot of people, myself included, have come to the understanding that 10X always means like do more, 10X your income, 10X all these things. And oftentimes is only tied to money. In this situation, what I was refreshed to learn was that 10X is easier than 2X is really about how we can do less. And so if 10X is about doing less, how can we focus on serving a more specific avatar? How can we focus on offering less solutions? So many of our clients come to us and they're offering, everything in a kitchen sink, and we help them get down to one single service that has, 50 to 70% profit margins that they can sell over and over and over again. So some things that you should be thinking about as an agency owner, if you want to have this 10X mentality, is what are the essential offers and skills and solutions that we need to have? And by focusing on less, how can we improve that quality, the quality of our marketing, the quality of our sales, the quality of hiring? Now, one of the things here that they talk about in this book is the biggest challenge is vision and identity. And we have tools in our business that we've created for our clients, like the business lifestyle return, the future vision planner, and daily and weekly non-negotiables, which I just recorded a video on previously. You need to start thinking like the owner that you want to be and having a vision of, if you want to get to say 7 figures and you're not there yet, ask yourself, well, what would someone who does 10 million a year do? How can I operate more like that person? How can I act as if, and what would that person do? What would the 80-year-old version of you do? The one who's wiser, who's made more money, who's had all the success, the future version that you're trying to achieve, how would they make that decision? I think that's a key piece that I took from this book. And all of that being said is we need to take full ownership over our life. So many service providers, I think, play small, maybe not by their own standards or they realize that they're doing this, but so many service providers and agencies, and myself when I got started, is your entire business, your entire life is predicated on you doing whatever your client asks you to do with no boundaries, no constraints, no expectations. And that is great in the beginning when you want to get traction and gain experience. But when it takes over your world and you're a glorified employee with 2 bosses not making what you want to make and having no capacity for more, that's not you taking ownership over your life. So you have to set your own boundaries, set your own goals, and design who you want to work with and what you want to work on with them. And you can't do that when you're only thinking 2X, because 2X is so linear that you always stay in the weeds. 10X is, exponential. When you start to think of what would it look like if I were to 10X the number of clients that I could take and serve while still getting results, you start to ask yourself better questions and get more creative because you're giving yourself these new constraints that isn't just, oh, well, I can work more hours. Like that's not going to to serve 10 times the number of clients that right now, only working more hours is only going to get you so far. So it forces you to up-level your thinking. A huge thing that comes up in this book also is the concept of falling in love with the process, that the infinite game, which is really about continually transforming yourself and the game you're playing and never getting caught or stuck within any finite game. So what are the rules of play for you? How much money do you want to be making? What's your schedule, etc.? And then really working backwards to get there. Another book that they talk about a lot in 10X is Easier Than 2X is the book called The Gap and the Gain. And I don't know about you, but when I think about where I want to be or see other people that are way ahead of me, it's very easy to get down on myself and feel pretty crappy. That's because you can't measure yourself forwards. So a big takeaway for me from this book is measure yourself backwards at least once per week. So in a previous video, I've talked about how how I use this app called the Day One Journal. And it allows me to look back on the things I was thinking about and doing on that very day, a year ago, 2 years ago, etc. And so a good exercise for this is if you're feeling like you haven't been making progress, I want you to spend some time, as woo-woo as this sounds, close your eyes and just imagine where you were 10 years ago and start looking at how you're different. How's your life different? How do you show up differently? And there is zero chance that you will go through that exercise and realize that you haven't moved. Like, you will be a different person, night and day difference. I promise you that. So think back, because you can only measure backwards. Another thing that we shared with our clients was focusing all of your efforts on the bottleneck and constraints. I know that it's very common to want to solve every single problem you have all at once, and you maybe move each of those things forward like 2%. Thus, you're always dealing with problems. One of the things we focus on with our clients is like, what is the biggest bottleneck right now that is preventing everything that you want from happening, and isolating that. And then we solve that until it's no longer the bottleneck. And guess what? That will reveal the next bottleneck. And so being very focused on only solving the biggest problem and being able to identify that, paramount on you being able to achieve your goals without having to burn yourself out. So that focus is really what it's all about. Another thing that I loved about this book that I think all service providers need to walk away with is having a clear enemy. And this goes back to thinking about, what is the identity of your ideal client? So many people that I see in their content and things like that play it safe. They say the exact same things as other people, and they don't take a stand for anything. I've gone out and said, I think selling directly into a retainer is stupid. And a lot of people disagree with me for that. I believe that most service providers shouldn't sell directly into a retainer. And when they do it, the exceptions to the rule are there's a lot of precision and specificity that needs to be had in order to sell directly into a retainer to make it work for you, where you don't end up with scope creep. I think the traditional agency model is outdated and broken, and we go very hard against that. So we take a stand on certain things in our business that in some instances are sacred cows. And there's probably sacred cows in your industry that you disagree with, and you got to go out there and kill the sacred cows and draw a line in the sand. And yes, some people are not going to like you. They were never going to be your clients anyway. But for the right people, it's going to attract the right people. So start thinking about that ideal client entity. Who is the enemy? Who do you stand for and who do you stand against? And sometimes that doesn't need to be a person. That could be a way of doing things, a certain mentality, etc. Another common thing that I see service providers struggle with is just like unwillingness or fear to commit to this process. That's because we have to let go of uncomfortable and past behaviors, possibly even let go of bad clients. So I know that when we were evolving our service, we hit a point where we realized who our ideal client was and what we wanted to be doing for them, what they valued most. And guess what? We had legacy clients that were none of those things. And I spent months and months trying to keep those people when it would have been way easier and more effective for me to focus on getting the new clients. It was because I was afraid. And so I gave myself a deadline and I said, by this date, we will no longer work with people in the legacy format. We will only work with clients in this new format because that is the future of our business. That was scary, but it was something I had to commit to. And so you might be in a situation where you want to evolve to the next level of your business, which might mean up-leveling your avatar, killing off some services that you don't like and don't enjoy and don't serve you and are dragging you down, letting go of those legacy clients, whatever. Some of you guys just have to commit, and you have one foot in each pond, and the longer you do that, the more you're going to struggle, or at least feel the way that you're probably feeling right now because you're spread too thin. So we got to commit. And back to the kind of the 10X concept is like, not only is it about less, but it's like the 80-20, right? 80% of your current activities, habits, and mindsets are going to become impediments to your future success. We reached the point where 80% of our legacy clients were actually the thing holding us back from the future client, which we had 20% of. And so our profits, our schedule, and the future of that was tied to these new 20% of our clients. And we had to go all in on those 20% to make that 20% 80%. And we could only do that when we let go. And so you might be in that situation as well. The reality is that most of us, watching, and myself included, we aren't achieving the freedoms that we want because we're unwilling to let go of everything that we truly don't want. I've heard the great task of like, what do you want? Well, it might be easier to do a list of what do you don't want. And so if you struggle with the what do you want list, maybe start with the what do you don't want list, because most of us know what we don't want, and you can get that out of the way and then look at the opposite. So these are some of my big takeaways and lessons that we shared with our our clients in our book club, inside of our academy program. Nothing happens until you commit, and you're going to be more likely to hit your goals and live the life that you want by actually doing less, not more. And so we have to start challenging ourselves to think about what does that 10x look like for us so that we can get our brain out of this, hamster wheel thinking of tactical one step in front of the other and move to coming up with bigger solutions that are going to move our business forward in kind of those leaps and bounds, if you will, not just the incremental 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, but the multiplied by 10. So a little share from behind the scenes. We're going to continue doing these book clubs for our clients. Every once in a while, I'd love to share some of these takeaways with you because I think they're going to be helpful. If you haven't read 10X is Easier Than 2X, I highly recommend the read. Link to that book is in the description below. And if you're looking to get yourself into a community of agency owners, service providers that are trying to 10X and make their life easier through systems, automation, packaging up their expertise to get paid for their know-how, not just their hands to keyboard, there's a link in the description below. Schedule a call and we can chat about what it might look like for you to hop on into our academy program and work a lot closer together. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this and found this useful. Share your biggest takeaway from 10X is Easier Than 2X in the comments below, and I'll see you there for the discussion.